Hi there, John Randall here, and as many of you know who've watched some of my other videos, I'm a old school windsurfer, specifically the Mistral Sailboards. So today what I wanted to do was spend a bit of time and show you how I go about rebuilding the mast bases. So as most of you know, with the Mistral system, at least the first generation where they had the sliding mast tracks, they had systems that look like this, kind of an all-in-one unit, where this part clips into the board and then obviously mast goes onto there. What I want to do today though is not really talk about how to rebuild these things, because these are great, but with modern sails, you know, we need a little bit more downhaul than what you can get with a single pulley, and also with RDM masts, reduced diameter masts. These extensions aren't so good. Fine for SDMs, standard diameter masts, but not so much for some of this new skinny masts. So, with that said, what I want to do is build up a few different ones. You know, I guess the first thing you consider is, if you don't want to use the original Mistral system, these things, the sliding mast track, you can always go out and buy one of these, or you can make one yourself. Just a block that you put into the mast track out of brass or stainless steel, even aluminium when it's heavy like this, and just get a pretty standard modern universal joint, and it just simply screws into there. Right now, these are great, they're simple, easy to use, but of course they don't slide. The next step from that is to look at maybe getting one of these retrofitted. I'm trying to think of the name, 3D Design or something. I got this from a guy in France makes these. These go inside your Mistral mast track. So if I take one of these tracks, this is the little car that replaces the standard Mistral one, and it just slides inside the track like that. And then you can actually continue to use one of these modern mast bases, and it just screws in like that. Now this is a great system if you want to use a modern system like this, because your mast track or your mast base can still slide in the track. So the rest of the Mistral system, obviously this one is disassembled, is not there, but you know, normally you'd have the ropes and the foot pedals and all the rest of it, and then this little car here allows it to slide. But really what I want to work on is rebuilding universal joints to go in the standard Mistral track. So like this one, this is the piece, really two pieces here. There's a little plastic twist on the top, either like that or they'll look like that. And then they have this little nut that goes inside, and you give it a click, and now you've got your nice firm yet adjustable mast base. So the kind of mast bases that I want to be able to support or with this is both the SDM, modern SDM that's got plenty of pulleys for downhaul, or an RDM, a reduced diameter mast base, again plenty of pulleys for downhaul. So these ones are called the European system, but the same concepts apply if you use the other kind of system, which is called the US Cup. Basically you can buy these sort of top pieces and they will just clip in there. Let's push the little button here, and that's going to be what connects to our universal joint, and also obviously what connects to the mast. Just push the button here, and this is a Euro pin system. So the first thing I'm going to do is take one of these standard old, people call them different names, I'm just going to call it a universal joint. I've seen them called a Boge, B-O-D-G-E, or just B-O-G-E. It always gets a little confusing to me, what's the correct name. And I'm just going to put together a whole system that's going to be able to use this, and it's also going to be able to use the Mistral piece here, the board connector piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of thread lock. Now, normally for these things, this Loctite brand's pretty common everywhere. People recommend using the red, because it comes in different colors, which is a very permanent sort of thread lock. I'm not actually going to use that because, you know, one of the things with these old Mistral pins and systems is this little bit in the middle. Let me just grab this one out. These are really hard to get. This is an original Mistral one, and this is the piece that goes inside here. So I want to be able to rescue these. You know, if my universal joint breaks, I still want to be able to get this piece. Now, of course, something I've been thinking about, and I might yet do, is actually get someone to take one of these 316 stainless steel bolts, cut the head off it. I could trim down the thread and actually put a groove in it, just like the Mistral one here, and kind of make up my own pins just using 316 stainless steel bolts. But I haven't done that yet, so today I'm just going to use the existing ones I have. I have 3 of them. So, and I have the quick release piece that goes in the board as well. So let's get going. Let's start putting this together. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little safety strap on them. So if for some reason these brand new universal joints break, things are not going to sort of completely fall apart on me on the water. So I'm going to start with the Loctite. As I said, this is the blue. A bit of a shake. I haven't actually opened this one, so I think I might even have to cut the top off it. That's how new it is. All right. So I'm just going to do a little test fit here. Here's my top that's going to go on there. It's going to go through this little safety strap, and it's going to screw into the top here, and then I'll do the bottom part. So let's do the top part first. Interestingly enough, these straps that I got, they were a single piece and they're a little bit too big. So I ended up cutting the strap in half and putting a couple of holes in it. So originally it was one piece all sewn together, but it was just too big. It was going to be too loose. So I ended up cutting my own holes so I could shorten it up. Instead of being that big, it's now that big. So put a little bit of the thread Loctite inside, and we'll put a little bit, actually put the strap on first, and we'll put some on the actual thread here. Touch more on that one. That should probably do it. And now I'm just going to twist the whole lot together. And I'll keep an eye on this the first few times I use it to make sure that everything's staying good. Just tighten this one up. And that is the top part of the universal joint, my new universal joint. Feels pretty good. It feels nice and tight. Maybe I'll give it a touch more. That's about it. So it's looking good. Now for the bottom, I think I'll use this one. Now, these pieces are kind of interesting. So we've got the Mistral pin, and then we've got the actual quick release part. Trying to get these out of the original Mistral units themselves is really tough. I read about people hitting them up and then twisting them off. Look, I had no luck at all. I ended up using a hacksaw, cutting away all of the broken old universal rubber here, and then just progressively cutting my way through until I could actually rescue these pins. It took about half an hour, and you've got to be really careful because obviously this is sitting inside a metal housing inside, and you've got to cut through the housing without damaging this piece. And in fact, on one of them, where is it? This one here, you can see when I was sort of trying to free it up, I actually did end up cutting a little bit of the thread away. Nonetheless, we'll give this a shot. So, with this one, I've got these little plastic pieces as well. The safety strap and these plastic bits I got for about $10 Australian from my local sailboard store. This one it's got a little groove on it, you'll notice. I'm going to put the groove upwards like that, and then the pin will end up going through here. I need to actually adjust this a little bit. So to get the pin thing that holds this to the actual center pin is inside here. There's some tiny little nuts that you've got to loosen off with an Allen key. So I'm just loosening those off. All right, let's see if we can slide that in there now. Okay, so that goes in, and then what you can do is you can tighten up those little nuts on the side there, and they sit in the groove that you saw before in this centerpiece. So I haven't got that one quite lined up right yet. Let me tighten the other one up. Let's see how that is. Not quite there yet. You don't have to do these super tight. Just kind of got to get them in the right spot. That sounded better. Let's see. That one in. All right. So you can see this is not coming off now, and yet this can rotate quite freely. If I keep tightening up these little nuts inside here, then it will actually stop it rotating freely. I don't particularly want that, so I'm just going to loosen off a touch. Make sure they're kind of even. It looks about right. Now, before I actually finish this one, I've got 3 of these that I'm going to do. 2 of them are going to be this style, and then I've got one which is sort of more of a hybrid. This is I think they call them the Tendon joints, and this is I'm not sure exactly what brand it is, but it was kind of cool because I pulled it apart, and what I discovered was that I could actually get my my Mistral bolt piece here, the base piece, and I could put it inside there, and then I could actually get a nut on it and then put the whole thing back together. So this way I'm going to have some that are this style with the Tendon, and I'm going to have some of the more traditional ones. Now both of them have the same, well, I know they look a little bit different, but they are actually the same kind of tops that will work on these Europin mass bases. So I'm just going to double check that I've got everything correct before I go too far and I start gluing things together. I'm actually feeling pretty good about that one, so I'll have a little look at this one. Another option would be I could put that one in there. It really doesn't make a lot of difference at this stage, so I think I will just go ahead. All right, so back to the first one. The bottom piece here, moving freely. I've got my washer that's going to go on top, and then the whole thing's going to get glued back together like that. So we'll do that right now. Again with the blue Loctite. I'll put a little bit in the actual universal joint. And then we'll get some on here. Strap on. Just simply trying to screw the two pieces together. Seems like it's gone in well. I'm going to grab myself some pliers here. Make sure my little strap here is sitting properly. And we'll just tighten it all up. Feels good. I don't know if I can get any tighter. That's probably about it. Now what I'm going to do is just loosen this one. Feels this base piece here is not rotating quite as easily as I would like it to. There we go. Tighten the actual bolt up this bottom piece. And there we go. So that's really the finished product. Now, when you buy these little straps, this is a Chinook brand one, they actually come with some little rubber pieces to help kind of hold them together and make them a little bit neater. So they look like this. It's basically a rubber O-ring, and that just goes over the top. And then around the base to hold it all together. Oops, sorry. Ready to go. a very quick test. It's going here. And we are good to go with a modern mast extension on a Series 1, I don't know what you call them, Mark 1 Mistral mast base. Okay, let's take a look at the other one, the other type I've got, which is the tendon joint. Now, this doesn't work for all of these tendon joints. You've got to get one that's got enough room that the pin sticking through the bottom has room to have a nut on the top inside there, and that the tendon itself still has enough room to sit down properly, and you can still put the attaching screw in the side part there. So I don't need to worry about a strap for this one, a safety strap. It actually has a tiny little bit of rope. I'm not sure how good that would be, but hopefully we'll never have to find out. Keep an eye on it. So I'm going to use this one. It's another one that I collected. All of these little bases, these quick releases, I just keep an eye out on eBay and on Facebook, and whenever I can, I just buy them, and they come in all different sort of states of repair and disrepair. Sometimes they're amazing, like a couple of these mast bases here. Looks like it's hardly ever been used. Other times they've done a bit of work, like this one here. So let's see how we go. So step one is there's a little nut and bolt that releases the base of this from the tendon itself. So we'll just take them apart. Now the first thing I want to do is get a couple of washers to put inside. Now these washers were extremely hard to find, so I wanted them to be stainless steel, ideally 316 or A4, which is the best kind of stainless steel, but they had to be just the right size. They've got quite a big hole, like an 8mm hole, because that's the size of the bolt. But you'll notice how narrow they are. So I actually ended up getting these from, I think it was Alibaba, one of those, because they're only about, I don't know, maybe 4mm, probably less than that, 3mm wide. I think they were 8x14, so the hole was 8, and I think the actual diameter across the outside is 14, something like that anyway. So I'm just going to drop 2 of these inside, like that. Now with this one, I'm not going to use the Loctite, because I've actually got a 316 or A4, which is the best kind of stainless steel locking nut. It's got the little blue insert on it. It tells me it's a locking nut, and you can actually see the grade of the stainless steel by looking on the base of the nut. It'll say A4 or it'll say 316, and they're the ones you want. So first thing I'm going to do is take my my base here. It's a little bit tight, so I'm going to actually loosen that one. Just an adjustment. Okay, now it's rotating freely. I'm going to place that inside the bottom part. I've already got the washers in there. I'm sort of contemplating whether I should also put a washer between the 2 pieces. I think I will. I have just a plain black plastic washer again from a windsurfing store here. So I'm going to pop that on the bottom there, like that. And I'm just going to push that on top like that. And my locking nut, so it's got like a crown shape on the top, and that is the top. That goes inside. Now we'll just tighten it up. Got my finger on the top of the nut. See how far I can get with this before it gets too tight. So as I can feel it tightening up now, I know I'm getting to the part where it's actually catching the locking part of the nut. I don't know what you actually call it. So I'm going to shove something down the end here to stop it rotating while I try and tighten it up a bit. screwdriver. We'll see how this goes. And I'm going to grab it with some pliers and see if I can get a few turns on it at least. That didn't quite work. Get myself a different, maybe I can get this little Allen key in there, see if that's maybe even a bigger Allen key. Just something to stop this nut rotating. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm just going to try and grab the base of this and turn it. And I'm getting some turn on it, which is good. Let's have a look inside. I think I'd like to get a tiny bit more if I can. Try a different pair of pliers. That might be about as much as I'm going to get on this, I think. Maybe I'll give it one more go with these. Might even put in my vise. Be back in just a moment. Well, that feels pretty good. So let's put this together. This piece is going in there. And all we need is this little screw here that holds the tendon in place. I'll line up the hole in the tendon with the hole in the housing. And see it's gone through. And we'll tie this. So here's what this one looks like. A lot stiffer than the budge joints, but I'm sort of interested to see how it goes. Same principles, just clips in there. This piece clips on the board, and away it goes. So let's give that a little try. There, perfect. All right, I'm going to do one more of these. Other than that, there's really not much else to say about putting these things together. Just take your time, plan them out, especially if you are looking at doing like the tendon type. Make sure you've got enough room for everything to fit and for the tendon to all go back together. Make sure you've got all the bits and pieces you need and do a few practice runs. There is another approach to all of this that you can use. These things are great if you're doing the European system. But you can also buy actual pins like this that do the same thing, that just screw into the top. But you'll also then need to get some washers. And trying to source these washers, trying to get heavy duty washers, is actually pretty tough. I ended up having to order these ones from England because basically I'm trying to find a big, heavy, thick washer that mimics that. So there's a few variations on these, but obviously the two pieces go together. But for this last one, I'm just going to rebuild another one of these. Hope this has been useful. Let me know if you have any problems or what your approach is. Bye for now.